the Central University of Rajasthan as an associate professor and head in the Department of Yoga. His area of specialization and research is in sleep medicine and autonomic functions, yoga, etc. So, sir, over to you.
Thank you. Is my slides visible? My slides are visible to all of. My slides are visible.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. So the title of this presentation or this talk is about concept of stress and ancient methods of management. I think all of us have forgotten about the ancient methods, because if you look back, all of us, I would say all of us, if you look back, the ancient history, the history of India, the only method that was helping us a lot to keep us healthy was yoga and Ayurveda. There are nothing else. Yoga and Ayurveda. And these two systems, in fact, Ayurveda is a part of yoga. So, in fact, this yoga and Ayurveda was sufficient enough to make all of us healthy. Now, to start my presentation, I just wanted to show you this picture. And the idea behind showing this picture to all of you that there are some circumstances, in our day-to-day activity that makes us to go crazy. We do not know what to happen. And this picture that I am showing before you, or this picture that I am showing to all of you, is an example of it. You never know what are you supposed to do. We are frustrated. We are depressed. We are in tension. We are in anxiety. We are in stress. And we become blank, absolutely become blank. Our creativity goes down. Productivity goes down. You do not get yourself indulged with the day-to-day activity. Your performance goes down. And I would say that is because of the stress you accumulate every day. The frustration that you accumulate every day. So to find out what is stress experimentally, so there was an American scientist by name Hank Shelley. So he did a couple of experiments using rats. He opened apart the rats. He dissected out the rats. What are the idea behind dissecting out the rats? The idea behind dissecting out the rats was very simple. Because in his experiment, he was in the verge of pinpointing a hormone. But he could not become successful. Because all his rats were dying. Literally, they were dying. So to find out why my rats are dying, so he started dissecting out the rats. And he found the tonsils. In fact, this is the tonsil of a human being, but I have the picture of the tonsil of a rat, but the tonsil of a rat will not be clearly visible. That is the reason why I am showing the tonsil of a human being. The tonsil was becoming smaller in size, called atrophy. The tonsil were becoming smaller in size. And he also reported constant bleeding in the stomach, constant bleeding. And he also reported that on the kidney of a gland, on our kidney, above the kidney, we have a gland called adrenal gland. And the outer part of the gland is called cortex. And this outer part was becoming bigger in size, called hypertrophy. So he could directly report the bigger in size of this gland. He directly reported that the tonsils were becoming smaller in size. He also reported constant bleeding in the stomach and the proximal part, or the proximal segment of the intestine, called duodenum. So he tried to find out why. He tried to find out why the stomach is constantly bleeding, why the gland is becoming bigger in size. That he remembered that all the rats were given quite a good number of stimuli. They were called stress cues or stress stimuli. What could be the different stress stimuli? The stress stimuli were like, there will be a platform, and around the platform there will be water, and the rats will be kept on the platform, and the moment the rats will make an attempt to jump over, it will drown itself into the water and die. So the rats were not at all moving. They were keeping themselves seated, or they were keeping themselves isolated on the platform, because the rats knew that if it starts jumping from the platform to escape itself, it will definitely drown itself into the water and die. So they were not escaping at all. So this was one kind of cue, stress cue. Second stress cue were like the rats will be in a chamber, and above the rats there will be some hanging needles, sharp hanging needles. The moment the rats will escape itself from the chamber, the sharp needles will fall down and pierce themselves into the delicate body of the rats. So the rats will keep themselves isolated within the chamber. And also there are other cues, like the rats were given constant exposure to the bright light so that the rats can never sleep. So because of the constant exposure to these stress cues, after a couple of months, the rats were dying, and the consequences you could see: the bleeding of the stomach, the bigger size of this gland. These were the consequences. And later he said, yes, stress could be the reason for the death of the rats. So the term stress, which is currently used, was coined by the scientist Hank Sally in 1936. So according to Hank Sally, stress is a non-specific response of the body to any demanding situation. As for example, I'll give I'll give you an example. Like for example, you are if you are in the academic field, I would say if your research supervisor wants you to complete the experiment within the span of 1 week. But unfortunately, this is not at all possible. So what you do, instead of carrying out 2 experiments, you carry out 10 experiments. You forget your sleep, you forget your food. You forget to change your cloth. So this will mount a lot of pressure within the internal organs of the body. The assignment that was given to you, it is a non-specific, it is a demand. It is a demand. So this demand will yield quite a good number of non-specific response in the body. And that is called stress. What could be the non-specific response? We never know. It may disturb your sleep. It may reduce your hunger or appetite. So Hank Sally said, stress is the cause of the diseases. Stress is the cause of the disease. What are the different major stressors that contribute for us to accumulate the stress? So there are different stressors, and the different stressors are frustration that we accumulate, conflict that we have between the subordinates and the boss, cataclysmic events like earthquake, cyclone, flood, tsunami, then the outbreak of, I would say, the corona pandemic, that is also a cataclysmic event, pollution, and there are definitely a lot of occupational stressors. Life changes could be the following. Life changes are like, divorce, death of the spouse, and continuous argument and debate between the husband and wife, hassles. So these are the major stresses that contribute to accumulate stress, and they are also called source for our stress. Source for our stress. Stress could be either flight or fight. Flight means running away from the situation is called flight, and fighting with the situation is called fight. As for example, a mad dog is running behind you. What would you do? A mad dog is running behind you. Either you will escape by running, or if you are strong enough, if you are very brave, so you will pull out a stick and start fighting the mad dog. So there are 2 options. So either you will run away to protect yourself, or you would start fighting with the mad dog. So this is called flight or fight response of stress. According to Hank Sally, this is also called general adaptation syndrome. What is general adaptation syndrome? We'll try to understand. So, according to Selye, every individual is exposed to stressors. And because of the constant exposure to stressor, body will start yielding, body will start producing some non-specific response, like poor sleep, poor appetite, and your bowel movement will not be proper. Okay, so there will be a lot of non-specific responses. Your digestion will not be proper. You will start experiencing body pain. You would have twitches in your eyes. So these are quite a good number of non-specific response. So in other words, according to Selye, this phase is called alarm phase, or body will start warning, and this phase is called alarm phase. And as per Selye, every individual is given certain quantum of energy, and this energy is utilized to fight with the stressor. But if the quantum of energy is less within you, then you will drain out this energy sooner. And if this quantum of energy is more, you may take more time to drain out it. Then what makes you to have less quantum of this energy? Like for example, you have some hereditary problem, or you have some weak organs, or you have some defects, physiological defects within the body. So this clearly means that body has less quantum of energy. And if you have less quantum of energy, this energy will be drained out soon in fighting with the stresses. If you have more quantum of energy, you might take little more time to drain out it. And this phase is called resistance phase. And draining out phase is called exhaustion phase. And after draining out, the consequence is a disease. When you drain out the energy, consequence is a disease. So you take the stress, and the stress is presented to you in the form of a disease. That is the reason why there are many diseases. Even doctors are not in a position to identify it. So when a doctor does not identify a disease, they will write some kind of non-specific, inflammation or non-specific something. They will write and complete the report, medical report. Am I clear? So the root cause of the problem is stress, but the stress is presented in the body with a different form called disease. So this is our normal human function curve. So till this you can take your tension. This is called healthy tension. If you do not take tension, you will become lethargic. This is healthy tension, healthy tension. You will become lazy, you will become lethargic. So till this, your performance improves. If you take stress, your performance improves. If you do not take stress, your performance will go down. And then Till this you can take stress. Till this you can take stress. Okay? But if you take stress until this, then the exhaustion start taking place. Your creativity goes down. And that leads to fatigue. And fatigue leads to ill health. Because breaking down start taking place. Burnout start taking place in the organ. So this is a normal human function curves that demonstrate to what extent we can take tension and what is our creativity zone. And if you further start exhausting yourself, what will be the outcome? So the stress mainly affects the two important key systems in our body. And the two important key systems in our body is one system which is all about producing some biochemical substances called hormone. And the glands within the body put together called endocrine system. And body has network of bioelectrical fibers. And these bioelectrical fibers put together called nervous system. So stress can directly affect the endocrine system as well as the nervous system. So there is a specialized system within the nervous system called autonomic nervous system. This is like a specialized unit called autonomic nervous system. And this autonomic nervous system has two divisions, and they are sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. It is like one is accelerator and the other one is a brake. One is accelerator. So the first one, the sympathetic nervous system, is like an accelerator. And the parasympathetic nervous system is like a deaccelerator, because it will regulate the speed. It is like, if I ask you, can you drive your car at the speed of 100 every time? And all of you would say, no, we cannot drive. Because there are many conditions applied. One of the conditions could be, there are many speed breakers on the road. And the condition of the Indian roads are not good. That there could be traffic on the road. So your answer would be no, we cannot drive our car at the speed of 100. But I will tell you, I'll ask you, in spite of all the conditions, if you start driving your car at the speed of 100, what will happen? And your answer will be very straight. You would say there will be wear and tear to the car. And you would say, we'll have to send our car every now and then for servicing. So similarly, like car has an accelerator and car has a brake. So similarly, every organ within the body has an accelerator and a brake. And accelerator is called sympathetic nervous system and the brake is called parasympathetic nervous system. And the stress makes the accelerator on. Forget about the brake. So what will happen? There will be wear and tear to the organ, leading to manifestation of a disease. So if you keep the sympathetic nervous system or the sympathetic nerve fiber activated every time due to accumulation of stress, what will happen? Or in other words, I would say, you would have definitely experienced this. You would have definitely experienced. Let us go back to the example of a mad dog. When a mad dog runs behind it, so what happens? The sympathetic nerve fibers get activated. When they get stimulated or activated, what will happen? They will activate all these organs. The pupils of the eye will get dilated. The heartbeat will start accelerating, leading to more palpitation of the heart. The bronchi or the air tract will get dilated so that ventilation can happen properly. That is the reason why you pant. That is the reason why you breathe. You breathe fast. And during this process, what happened? There would be more conversion of a molecule that gets stored in the liver called glycogen. The food, when we eat starch is available in, rice, flour. So when we consume this starch, this gets converted into glycogen, and this glycogen is stored in the liver for future use. So when you take more and more stress, the glycogen will get converted into glucose, because the body will make sure that the glucose reaches to the muscle. Because our ultimate aim, when a mad dog runs behind us, our objective is either to escape or to fight with the mad dog. So here we require the muscle power. So when you require the muscle power, you also require the energy. So from where the energy comes? So the heart will send more and more amount of oxygen and glucose through the blood. And from where the glucose comes? Glucose comes from the liver. So more and more amount of glucose will reach to the muscle. And when the glucose is burned to the oxygen, it will produce an energy coin, which can be instantly used by the muscle for getting itself empowered. So that is the reason why, to meet the requirement of oxygen, you start hyperventilating. And that is the reason why the air tracts get dilated. To meet the requirement of oxygen and the glucose in the muscle, so sooner the heart has to transport the blood to the muscles. So to meet that requirement, the heart has to pump more. And that is the reason why the heartbeat accelerates. And during this time, what happens? To accelerate the heart more, to dilate the bronchi or the air tracts, a gland, we have a pair of gland above the kidney called adrenal gland. They will start secreting more amount of hormone, and they are called adrenaline and noradrenaline. Adrenaline and noradrenaline. So their secretion in the blood will be found to be higher. And during this time, what will happen? Also, there will be contraction to the bladder. Every now and then, if you are in stress, every now and then you will start going to the washroom to empty the blood. Your mouth will start drying up. Don't you experience all these? When a mad dog runs behind you? Yes, all of us would have experience. Forget about the mad dog. You also would have you would have experienced many life examples in your life. And these examples will remind you how stressed you were when you encountered yourself with a challenge in your life, or with a stress cue in your life, with a frustration in your life, or with a circumstance in your life. So one circumstance in your life will make the sympathetic nervous system drying up, getting activated. Not only getting activated, so it will start accelerating the function of all these organs. So coming to the endocrine system, so all these are the glands within the body. Like for example, we have the pituitary gland in the brain, we have the thyroid gland in the throat, thymus in the center of the chest, adrenal above the kidney, ovary within the pelvic area, testis in the lower pelvic area. So these are the glands in the human body. So when we start accumulating stress, and when there are continuous or when there are concomitant occurrence of the disease, stress related disease, doctor will ask you to go for a stress profiling. Okay, so mainly doctor might ask you to go for estimation of this hormone that is called cortisol. Cortisol is very vital. This cortisol will help us to know how stressed we are. In addition to this, many other hormones are also highly affected. The secretion is affected, and these hormones are growth hormone, prolactin, thyroxine, glucagon, adrenaline, noradrenaline, cortisol, and aldosterone. So now growth hormone is directly produced by our pituitary gland. Pituitary gland is located within the brain. So the work of the pituitary gland is to activate mainly the two organs. One is liver and the other one is the adipose tissue or the fatty tissue or fat tissue in the body. But because of stress, when you start producing more growth hormone, it will start making use of the adipose tissue and it will start depleting it. Similarly, if the growth hormone secretion is higher, the normal growth of a bone will be retarded. Either the bone will become longer in size, and this problem is called gigantism, or the bone will become smaller in size, called dwarfism. So stress can affect not only the depletion of your adipose tissue, it may also affect the growth hormone, and it may also affect the growth of your body, which is directly seen here. There is another hormone that I was talking about called thyroxine. This thyroxine hormone is produced by This thyroxine hormone is produced by the thyroid gland. They are put together called T3 and T4. Okay? These are the two hormones put together called thyroxine. And because of this stress, if the thyroxine is found to be higher, what will happen? You will feel tired, you will have mood swings, you will experience irritability, nervousness, sleep disturbance, poor sleep, tremors in your hand, nervousness, hair loss, hair will start thinning, muscle weakness, problem with conception, etc. And when the adrenaline and noradrenaline hormones are found to be higher because of stress, they will start increasing your breath rate. Blood flow to the muscles will start increasing. Heart rate will start increasing. Blood sugar will start increasing. Blood pressure in the artery also will start increasing. Pupils will get dilated. Intestinal muscle, this is a typing mistake. Intestinal muscle will get activated. It is not relaxed, it is get activated. So there will be more clearance of the bowel, okay, leading to a disease called irritable bowel syndrome. Okay, so when the heart rate increases, and when you consult the doctor will say you have developed tachycardia. When the blood sugar level increases, when you go and consult a doctor will say you have developed diabetes. When the blood pressure in the artery increases, doctor will say you have developed hypertension. When the pupil get dilated, doctor will name something else. When the intestinal muscle get irritated, it will lead to a disease called irritable bowel syndrome. When the breathing rate increases, doctor will say you have developed COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disorder. When the blood flow to the muscle get increased, it will, get manifested in the body with a different variety of problems like neck pain, back pain, muscle pain, etc. Cortisol is very vital. The function of the cortisol we need to understand, because when you are in high stress, doctor will definitely ask you to go for diurnal cortisol checkup. Diurnal means twice. The blood sample will be drawn from an individual, morning once and evening once. Cortisol impacts your heart. And because of the cortisol, heart rate will increase. You may develop tachycardia because of the cortisol. Cortisol will be also responsible for the manifestation of the hypertension or high BP. Cortisol is responsible for high blood sugar, diabetes. Cortisol is responsible for many varieties of digestive issues. Cortisol is responsible for nerve problems. Nerve problem means they are called peripheral neuropathy, multiple sclerosis. Cortisol is also responsible for the central nervous system, and it may make you to experience anxiety, depression, headache. It may weaken your immune system. This is how the cortisol affects the internal organ of the body. There is another hormone called prolactin all of us need to know. It plays an important role within the female body. And it plays an important role in the female body. So how? Now, there are many research, and the research says prolactin hormone is supposed to be high when a mother, when a lady becomes mother. When a lady becomes mother, because lady has to go for breastfeeding, and prolactin is required for lactation. But imagine if the prolactin is found to be higher before the marriage, what will happen? It will arrest menstruation. Even after post-delivery, for example, after 40, if the prolactin is found to be higher, the research says that prolactin may play a key role for some high complications like breast cancer. That is the reason why it has become a challenging situation for the gynecologist to understand how prolactin becomes a contributing factor for the high complications like breast cancer. So prolactin is mandatory. Whenever you go and meet a gynecologist, the gynecologist will ask you to go for getting your prolactin checked. This is the stress brain loop. The stress brain loop, this is chronic stress, and because of this chronic stress, what will happen? There will be excess secretion of glucocorticoid, otherwise called cortisol. Okay, and this cortisol can directly impact a subcortical area, or there is a very vulnerable area within the brain itself called hippocampus. And believe me, this hippocampus is very much responsible for encoding the long-term memory, permanent memory. Like for example, if I say, what is your name? Would you forget your name? Would you forget? Would you say that, I do not remember my name right now, I will tell you later? If I ask you, what is your father's name? Would you say, I will record the information, retrieve the information and tell you little later? No. This is all possible because of the hippocampus. And believe me, this hippocampus is very sensitive to glucocorticoid. And the scientific report says because of the glucocorticoid, our hippocampus shrinks, leading to a complication called mild cognitive impairment. And the bad sequence after the mild cognitive impairment is Alzheimer. So Alzheimer is such a bad complication during old age that will make you not to remember your name, that will make you not to retrieve any information that you have. Means, and because of this glucocorticoid, I'll tell you, you will have inadequate sleep, poor nutrition, emotional distress, your attention start decline, perception start decline, short-term memory start decline, your learning will start becoming diminished, it start diminishing, word findings, it will also start declining. This is a stress brain loop which is induced by a hormone called cortisol. What could be the long-term effect of the stress? At the behavioral level, the stress may lead to self-harming, suicidal ideation, cutting, withdrawing from the family and social life, anger outburst, unexplained mood changes or swings. At the physical level, gynecological disorders, vaginal prolapse, dysregulated menstrual cycle, autoimmune disorders, and shedding out of the uterus called endometriosis. Then PTSD at the cognitive level, at the psychological level, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorders. You will start re-experiencing the event or the incident that happened with you in the past. You will start avoiding people. You would start becoming very reactive. You will have depression, anxiety disorder, borderline personality, dissociative identity disorders. If you start dividing the stress into 4 quarters, at the body level, you start experiencing headache, frequent infection, taut muscle, muscular twitches, fatigue, skin irritation, breathlessness. At the mind level, you will start worrying more, grooming more, muddled thinking, impaired judgments, nightmares, indecision, negativity, hasty decision. At the behavioral level, you would start becoming prone to accident. You will start having loss of appetite, loss of sexual drive. You would start drinking more, insomnia, restlessness. You would start smoking more. At the emotional level, you would start losing your confidence. You would become more fuggy, irritable, depression, apathy, alienation, apprehension. So these are the consequences of stress at the body, mind, behavior, and emotional level. Now I will ask a question to all of you, why does it happen? It happens because you have a large number of demanding situations. You have not set your objectives properly. Or you are highly sensitive and soft. You do not let go the wrong things happening around you because you are so sensitive. You are so perfectionist. And we have many targets to be achieved in our life. Like for example, I'll start completing 20 manuscripts and I have a goal of publishing 20 manuscripts. I have a goal of getting 10 projects this year. So we set our targets, and because of the target, we start accumulating more stress. Now, if you ask me, how does it happen? How does stress bring such a tremendous change within the body? Yes, it may bring such a tremendous change within the body. There is a system within the brain called limbic system. And because of the limbic system, I think in the physics, all of you would be knowing, even a professor, AIIMS professor Deepak Chopra and Trees of Capra. So they have written a book, Mind Matter Theory. How does a thought can bring so much of influence in the matter? For example, there is a glass cube or there is a glass which is standing on a piece of glass rod. If you give a strong thought onto the glass rod, after some time what will happen? The glass will start bending. We have seen these experiments. In USA, we have seen these experiments. So the mind can bring tremendous change in a matter. Okay, so So the limbic system is responsible for mind-matter interaction. Mind-matter interaction. In other words, a negative thought in your mind can bring tremendous change within your body. A negative emotion in your mind can kill your body because all your negative emotions and negative thoughts are germinated here, are sprouted out here. So this is like a fertile land for a seed. It is like a fertile land for a seed. So when you start sowing a negative thought, or when you start putting a negative thought or a negative emotion, it starts germinating. And the first target is this area. This area. This area is called hypothalamus. So in my previous slide, I had shown you that we have the autonomic nervous system, and autonomic nervous system has two divisions: sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. So the hypothalamus is the key regulator of autonomic nervous system. If the hypothalamus is triggered, if the hypothalamus is stimulated because of your negative thought, because of your negative emotion, it will affect your sympathetic nervous system. If you are relaxed, if you are so happy, and if your hypothalamus is not triggered, it will not stimulate the autonomic nervous system. So you will remain relaxed. Your organs will remain relaxed. So this was all about the limbic system. Limbic means it is derived from the word limbus. Limbus means a ring. This is like a ring, and in this particular ring there are many structures involved, and all the involved structures are responsible for transforming a psychological thoughts into a matter, or a negative thought into some physiological changes within the body. So psychologically, stress is of two types, and they are distress and eustress. Distress is called killing stress, and eustress is called essential stress. What is essential stress? For example, I will say, for example, you have committed to your wife that that 7 o'clock I'll definitely come back from the office, and there is a show, movie show at 7 o'clock, and from your house to Mega Mall is about 1 hour drive. Okay. So you say, definitely I will come and report to you at 6 o'clock. But unfortunately, you get yourself trapped with a day-to-day activity, and you never start from the office on time. Okay? So what you do, you drive fast, and if you report to her on time, you know what will happen. You will be very relaxed, and you will say, you will take a long breath as if all the tension have gone out. You have let go all the tension and stress from you. But imagine, if you do not report to her, instead of reaching home at 6 o'clock, if you report to her by 7:10, you know what will happen. There will be argument, there will be debate, and that will take away your sleep, and that will take away, and your productivity will go down, creativity also will go down. Okay. Another example is eustress example is like, exam-induced stress. Exam-induced, during examination, what you do? You take so much of stress. You take so much of stress. And after examination, you let go all the stress. And this is called healthy stress. If you do not take this stress, what will happen? You will become lazy. You will become lethargic. And there is another kind of stress called de-stress. What is de-stress? It is like Abhimanyu Chakravyuha. Abhimanyu Chakravyuha. What is Abhimanyu Chakravyuha? It is like a vicious circle. It is like a spider net. The way a mosquito knows how to get into the spider net, but it does not know how to come out from it. We are also like this. The way Abhimanyu knew how to get into the vicious circle of stress or vicious circle of the war, but Abhimanyu did not have any skill to come out from it. The same way we know how to get ourselves trapped by the stress, but we do not have any skill to come out from it. That is called distress. And when you do not have any skill to come out from it, so what will happen? You are trapped. Stress will start engulfing you. So till this is eustress, healthy stress. Till this is healthy stress. Till this maximum you can perform. And after this, what will happen if you start performing more? What will happen? Body will start breaking down. Burning out start taking place. Your health status will go down. So what are the stages of this stress? As I said, limbic system is the sheath of conversion, sheath of transformation of the negative thought or any frustration or any emotion, any sentiment into a matter. So there are 4 phases for getting the matter to get transformed. What are the 4 phases? The first phase is psychic phase. Psychic phase is like you sow a seed on a fertile land. When you sow a seed on a fertile land, it has to germinate. It has to germinate on a fertile land. The same way, if you sow a negative thought or negative emotion in your mind, it will start germinating. It will start sprouting out. This is called psychic phase. Psyche means mind. Psychosomatic phase means now this seed gets germinated, now takes the form of a shrub, takes the form of a tree, starts branching out. But do you think that it will start branching out above the head? No. It will start branching out within. It will start branching out within the body, called psychosomatic phase. Psycho means mind, soma means body. And then when the branches are more, or when the branches are widely spread, it will reach to the organs and start getting the function impaired, called organic phase. Organic phase, organ. So when the functions start getting impaired, you start experiencing various symptoms. And the symptoms are felt at the body level. And many symptoms are put together called a disease. Many symptoms are put together called a disease. Now, did you find? You sow a seed. You had the frustration here. You had the depression here. You had the anxiety here. But this anxiety slowly percolated into the body and got transformed into a symptom, got transformed into a disease, and the disease is always felt at the body level called somatic phase. It is like the tree is imaginary. To give you an example, and this is like from the limbic system, the mind-matter interactions start taking place. And this imaginary tree starts growing inverted, starts branching out to the organ, start getting the functions impaired. And this is how a distress becomes a key player for the manifestation of a disease within the body. Anyway, we spoke a lot about the concept of stress. Now we'll try to understand what would be the possible solution to manage the stress. In yoga, we always talk about identification. If you identify your problem, identification is 50% clear. If you know about your disease, if you know why it's happening, it will definitely, you will start taking precaution. And when you start taking precaution, it will make you to cure your disease 50%. And probably remaining 50%, you need to go for lifestyle modification. You need to go for some other practices. You need to go for having medication. But in yoga, at the body level, how would you identify? At the body level, how would you identify that you have stress? In yoga, we do talk about three things. In the Ayurveda also, we do talk about Kujirnatvam, Ajirnatvam, and Atijirnatvam. Kujirnatvam means poor digestion. Ajirnatvam means indigestion. And Atijirnatvam means over-digestion. So, the stress gets itself reflected within your digestive system in the form of three primary symptoms. What are they? Either of the symptom. You might experience either of the symptom, either poor digestion or indigestion or over-digestion. If I ask you, how many of you are healthy with respect to your healthy digestion? Many of you say, yes, I am healthy. But I will definitely say, none of us is healthy. Because either you have poor digestion or indigestion or over-digestion. Over-digestion is the individual who will always say, you give me anything and everything, I'm ready to digest it. Poor digestion would say, no, I take a little. If I take more, it will upset my stomach. Poor digestion also will say, no, I take little to keep myself fit. Indigestion, anything you eat that will make your stomach indigested. So these are the symptoms, either of the symptoms one of us might experience. Haphazardness in the breathing. your breathing may become very irregular, irregular in your heartbeats, loss of appetite or more appetite, sudden reversal of old habits like smoking, drinking, etc., lack of sleep. So you need to identify your stress based on at the mind level, speed in your thoughts, speed in your decisions and judgments. If you have speed, yes, you have stress. If you take some hasty decisions, yes, you have stress. So according to the ancient science of India, the body is not the body which has only the physical body, the body with flesh and bones, the body with the body that you feel, the body that you experience. That is not the body we are talking about. So that is according to ancient science of India, that is called Annamaya Kosa. Maya means covering. Kosa means a sheath. Anna means it's the matter. So body which is made up of matter. Pranamaya means we have an energy sheath that keeps energizing, that keeps vitalizing the internal organs within the body. That is called Pranamaya Kosa. That is the subtle body. We have a mental sheath. We have a mental sheath called Manamaya. Mana means mind. We have a sheath of wisdom around us. Anandamaya Kosa means we have a sheath of bliss. In fact, all of us are born out of bliss. Your real Swarupa is absolute happiness. When you are born, you are absolutely happy. You have come out of happiness. You have come to this world out of happiness. There are no ways that you will remain unhappy. The only thing is, after you grow old, so there will be a lot of clouds, or I would say there will be a protective layer of illusion. And this protective layer of illusion, or there is a protective layer of fantasy that will delude you, that will deceive you. So when this layer, or when this bulletproof or this protective layer start deluding you or deceiving you, you start forgetting your true nature. So you forget about this sheath. So now this is the sheath of your wisdom. Sheath of your wisdom means the knowledge that your master gives, the knowledge that your mother gives, the wisdom that your father gives, the wisdom that your superior gives. As for example, your master says, never hurt others, never speak ill of anyone. Okay? Or the wisdom is, do not do ahimsa, do not kill, or do not indulge yourself into violence. Am I clear? But your book says no, eating non-veg is very good. because the flesh, the meat, a direct source of M, direct source of M. And through the animal product, you can meet the requirement of protein within your body. Am I clear? So there is a continuous conflict between the acquired knowledge that you acquire by reading the books, by watching TV, by reading the newspaper, mingling with your friend, having interpersonal relationship. So you start acquiring the knowledge and you have the true wisdom within yourself, and there is a continuous conflict between your true wisdom that you have and the knowledge that you acquire over a period of time. So you keep altering your notion. You keep altering your notion. You start neglecting, ignoring your true wisdom. So you get confined yourself within these three. You get yourself confined within these three. And this is like this pranamaya kosa is like it will neutralize you, because this is highly sensitive. This mental seat is highly sensitive, because this seat is responsible for your likes and dislikes. I want this, but I do not want that. I want an Apple phone, but I do not want a Samsung phone. So there is a continuous conflict in your mind. Why my teacher, I secured 99% in physics, why did not I secure 100% in physics? So there is a continuous conflict, there is a continuous likes and dislikes that will trigger your psychological functions in your mind. This triggering of the psychological function is also otherwise called stress. This triggering of the psychological function within the mind is also called stress. Those reactions of the psychological phenomena is also called stress. So this impacts the energy set. If the reaction is more, it will deplete the energy. It will decrease the energy, lowers the energy. And when it starts depleting the energy, what will happen? You always experience low energy. You do not feel like doing any work. You feel tired. You feel lethargic. But if you have positive thought, if you are always motivated, if you always feed your mind with positive thoughts, that will keep a positive aura within you, positive energy within you, and this positive energy will keep feeding your physical body, keep vitalizing with your physical body, and you will keep yourself always energized, charged, because there will be no depletion of energy in this. So these are the wisdom you would find in Upanishads, you would find in Vedas. And this theory is well described in one of the Upanishads called Taittiriya Upanishad. But we have started neglecting it. So now we have the different operational tools. What are the different operational tools to handle each one of these things? So to handle each one of these things, we have asana. Asana means these are the yogic postures that will soothe your body, flex the muscles, flex the joints, tones the nerve fibers, make your organs healthy, make your blood circulation proper, drain out the waste from the body. Kriya, these are the yogic cleansing techniques. Yogic cleansing technique that will cleanse out the accumulated toxins within the hollow internal organs of the body. Mainly the organs, mainly the systems that are in close contact with the atmosphere. The idea behind practicing Kriya or the yogic cleansing technique is to clean the body so that you would not fall ill, fall sick. Balance wholesome diet. We need to know what to eat and what not to eat. Because our body is not a garbage box. Our body is not a dustbin. Dustbin means if you feed the dust, only dust will be out, dust will be exited. The body is not a dustbin. So if you eat good food, the outcome is good, you will remain healthy. If you eat the junk, preservative food, stale food, clean food, you will not remain healthy. Oily food. So we need to have a healthy body by eating conducive diet. That is called balanced and wholesome diet. Conducive food for the health, for our body. Conducive food because this body comes in contact with billions of molecules. When you eat, there are a lot of processes involved. You break the food by grinding it. How do you grind it? By chewing. Then you mix it with the saliva. Then it goes to the stomach. Again, this food will get mixed with a lot of substances. Then again from the intestine it will get absorbed. It will get assimilated. So the body comes in contact with billions of molecules, but we never know what molecule becomes unconducive for your body. We never know what molecule becomes the culprit for your ill health. So choose the right food. And I would say the right food is the food that looks bright, the food that looks fresh, the food which is seasonal. But some of you may say jalebi looks bright. Some of you may say laddu looks bright. I am not talking about that. I am talking about the bright fruits and bright vegetables. Bright fruits and bright vegetables. Bright fruits and bright vegetables are enriched with the antioxidants, and antioxidants take care of our physical health. At the Pranamaya Kasa we also have the operational tools, that is to rectify or to minimize the depletion of energy at the Pranamaya or at the layer of energy, layer of prana. So we practice pranayama. We practice a lot more breathing practices to prepare ourselves for pranayama. So to stop the likes and dislikes, to inhibit the excess reactions in your mind, in our mind, we practice meditation so that our mind will remain calm, our mind will remain quiet, our mind will get tranquilized. So we do a lot of meditation practice. And believe me, many researchers say if you practice meditation, one of the biochemical substance gets secreted or gets synthesized within the brain called gamma aminobutyric acid, and this will tranquilize the excitation in the neurons of the brain, or excitation, because brain cells are easily excitable. Brain cells are easily excitable. So when these biochemical substances get synthesized, the excitation of the brain can be brought under our control. Excitation can be minimized. So we feel calm, quiet, serene. Okay? We get our mind tranquilized. At the seat of wisdom, how do you do? That is why you should have a master in your life who can take you from the darkness to the light. Your mother is the first guru, first master in your life. Okay? So one who gives you wisdom, one who gives the knowledge for your bread and butter is a teacher. But one who gives you the lifetime wisdom is a master, is a guru. Okay? So you talk to him. You get him, you yourself initiated by a guru, so that you will get yourself enlightened. You will get a path to path yourself. Start reading Swadhyaya, means start reading the scriptures, because we have many scriptures, and every scriptures you will find many incidences with examples, and these incidences and examples are the true examples of our lives, true examples of our life. And these ancient books will help you to pave yourself. Okay? And definitely they will also create a pivotal stage in your life. At the Anandamaya Kasa, means the layer of the bliss. I spoke to you. I had spoken to all of you regarding this Anandamaya Kasa. Anandamaya Kasa is the street of wisdom. And all of you know we have burned out of happiness, absolute happiness. The purpose for all of us to come to this world is to spread happiness. The purpose for all of us to come to this world to understand the true nature of our life. But you neglect your true nature and you get yourself indulged with the materialistic world. Okay? So, how to do it? I would say there is something called Karma Yoga. Do the action without understanding the source of it. Do the action without expecting the fruit. If you start expecting the fruits, you will become a miserable soul. You will become an unhappy soul. Okay? The situation will become very deplorable. The situation will become very sad. That is why keep doing work, like an ox, but never expect for fruits. The moment you start expecting the fruits, the wisdom will go, and you will become a lifetime sufferer. So this was all about my talk about the concept of stress and what are the different methods to manage the stress. Not only to manage the stress, to manage ourselves also. If you have any question, you can definitely ask. Sir, Krishna sir, can
Yes, yes.
uh,
If
can they
you have any question, you can ask.
yes.
Yes, any participant have any questions? No questions?
Okay. Bye.
Okay, so I think, sir, there is no question. So we thank you all for accepting our invitation and giving a wonderful talk on the stress management, because it is very, very important for us in these days to manage the stress in different levels.
Yeah.
Thank you once again.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.